sang this song to me. There was a message in his melody, sweetest lyrics that I ever heard. There's a message in the songs of birds. He said, tomorrow is another day, but living is the only way. Tomorrow's gonna ever come. Listen to the words of the song. Everything gonna be alright. Everything is gonna be.
Greetings and welcome to A Sip of Inspiration. I'm Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, known as the Empowerment Doctor, and I am your host for tonight's show. I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. And as you know, as always, we have a lot of homework and there'll be a lot of information. So now would be a good time for you to get something to write with and a pencil, because I know you have one. During the show, you'll see a phone number because this is a call-in show, and you can call in and ask questions. And of course, I encourage that. There's no such thing as a dumb question, so feel free to answer all questions. We have been delving into the millionaire mindset, and we're going to continue to do that again tonight. Tonight, I thought it would be a good opportunity for us to discuss the mindset of millionaire entrepreneurs. As you know, everyone has this wonderful dream of starting their own business, but they don't have a clue as to what it takes to start their own business. So we're going to talk about the habits, we're going to talk about the changes that they have to make, we're going to have to talk about the things that you have to learn every single day in order to sustain yourself by being self-employed. As you know, when we look at the statistics for millionaires, remember 86% of all millionaires are self-made. And the majority of them own their own business. So owning your own business is definitely the key to being successful, provided that you do it right. Joining me tonight are two of my favorite people in this whole wide world. As you all know, that I just love these people. And I'm going to introduce you to them one at a time. And we're going to give them a little bit of the spotlight. So the camera will be on them as I read a little bit about their backgrounds so that you can come to know them the way I know them. So first, I want to thank Roxanna Daniel with Taj Development Corporation Incorporated. She started her business, how many years ago has it been?
Well,
seems like forever, doesn't it? I know. Feels like forever, doesn't it?
Well, it's which business would be, but Taj Development 2009.
2009. And you know what's wonderful about that is both of them started their businesses in 2009. So this is going to be a great conversation. Yeah. That is, and 9 is always like a lucky number too. So you guys started your businesses in a great year. Yeah. Taj has this logo that I love, or this motto that I love: building healthy communities, educating and employing one person at a time.
Yes.
I think that is absolutely cool, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to tell us more about what you do and to tell us, how did you come up with that, and what were you thinking at the time that made you come up with that?
Well, actually, it came to me about 4:30 in the morning, during a period of time where our business was struggling, and I was waking up late at night and I was pacing the floor, and I asked God, what exactly was I supposed to do? And that term came out.
Oh, fantastic.
Because a healthy community, we do home remodeling and repair and training and development. However, a healthy community is based around spiritual aspirations and your wellness, health, physical wellness, and we want to bring that into the home when we rehab and remodel. So that feeling came through that.
And I know, as a lot of us discover as we become successful, is you can't get any kind of success unless you give something back in service to the community and something back to your clients, and that's a big part of it. And that saying speaks that to me. So.
Yes, that's what it's about.
Now there's James Webb, who also started his business in 2009. It's called A Stroke of Genius. James is an expert painter. He has a cool motto also. It says, changing the world as you see it, one color at a time. Yeah. So what were you thinking when that one came to you? How did you get that? That is pretty cool.
Well, color has an effect on the psyche of each individual. It brings out certain moods, certain behaviors. So I thought that if we were able to change environments, we'd be able to change how people thought and how people reacted and acted.
Mm-hmm. So if you have bad actors in your house, which color should you avoid?
Red. red gets the system flowing. If you want to have calmer people in the house, you want to stay towards like grays, neutrals.
Oh, okay, cool. I want to thank you all for joining me. I really do. This is going to be a great show.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
When you all decided that going into business was the thing you wanted to do, what was the turning point? What made you make that decision?
Okay. Well, I started my business out of necessity. I was in business out of state before I came back to Illinois. Mm-hmm. I had 3 young children at the time. As a single dad, I needed more flexibility. I was working corporate telecom, and the kids were involved in a lot of activities. I had a friend who approached me about an opportunity that he had in the construction industry. I looked at his books, asked for equity in his company. He allowed me to buy in, and I learned the business inside out from investing in it. The economy went bad in 2007, 2008. We ended up having to scale back operations. In that scaling back, moved back to Chicago, and decided to go ahead and try it all over again with some of the lessons that I learned out there in the business, because I'm not going to say it failed, because it's still in business, but we definitely took a big hit.
Mm-hmm. So what did you do in 2007 and 8? I know that was a bad year for businesses altogether, because people have this idea that once you start a business, everything is just all roses, and that you make $1 million overnight. They don't realize that it's time, because when you get $1 million contract, they think that $1 million goes into your pocket, when generally you're kind of lucky if you come out with 5% of that.
That's
Is
true.
that true?
Oh, that's true. I mean, we try to do more like 10 to 15% at least after taxes, but it's more about how many resources you can employ, at least in my business. So how many suppliers can you buy supplies from, and most importantly, how many people can you employ? Mm-hmm. That seems to make the difference. So the more people, the way I look at business is that the more people that I'm able to have on site and be able to provide opportunities for, to serve as a conduit for opportunities for, that we're able to somehow find a way to provide for ourselves as a back office as well.
Now, both of you all are in construction field, so you have the ability to offer higher than normal salaries to people, pretty much.
Yes.
Depends.
Depends, okay.
That would depend.
Okay.
You know, as James was saying, the more people you have on site, you would hope,
right,
the larger the revenue.
Right.
However, that can be a hindrance also. So we want to have more quality people on site.
Okay.
So that, you know, because you can get some people in this industry that think that because the job is there and they see that the contract amount is $1 million, they figure that, okay, well, you spend X amount of dollars on material and the rest is in your pocket, and it's not.
Right.
The cost of doing business in construction is very great.
What are some of your other expenses? So we know you've got material, but that's all people see. So what else would be
You
some
have
of your
insurance, you have bonds, you have gas. Remember in 08, a part of 08 was the vendors, when the gas prices shot up almost to $5 a gallon. The vendors went up on their price, and it became really hard to get a quality product or any product because the trains weren't running right, the trucks wasn't running, deliveries weren't happening. So a part of the industry failure was the transportation industry wasn't happening. So that can be a higher cost. Deliverables are very, very, very common and very expensive at times. So it's a number of things.
Now, I know that, right, insurance, bonding, materials, and salaries are a big portion
taxes.
of
Livable.
and taxes, right?
Taxes will kill you.
Right.
You know, but paying a livable wage is the key. There are different levels in construction and employment, but you can start at a minimum wage. But the minimum wage in construction is about $10 an hour if you're non-union.
Okay.
If you're union, of course, is larger as an apprentice or a pre-apprentice. However, if you are a tradesperson in the union and you bought your card, because you can do that, and you're working next to somebody that went through the training and development, just because you guys have the same cards, you make the same amount of money, and that can be an issue in our industry.
Okay.
Everybody is not really at a higher level or grade of pay. So the salaries can really put you under. You have the salaries, you have the fringe benefits, prevailing wages, you have the insurance, you have vacation pay, and all of this if you're working under Davis-Bacon or with the union. So we do a lot of residential work, so we're not really governed by that. However, we do want to pay a livable wage.
Right.
So in order to do that, you got to have a team that can produce livable wage salaries.
Right.
You know,
Exactly. And quality product.
Yep.
Without a doubt.
So what were some of the habits you had prior to starting your own business? And what were some of the habits you had to develop very quickly in order to stay in business?
That's a good question. Before I went in business, I mean, one of the things to stay constant is exercise. You need, for me, I need a lot of energy to be able to not only deal with the back office, but also deal with the field. Exercise is a great habit that serves me well. Focusing on more so what served me over the last few years. I in the morning, I get up at 4 in the morning. Okay, I journal.
Okay, so you get up before.
I get up at 4 in the morning every
before
morning.
daylight in the morning.
That's right.
Okay.
Right. I journal first thing in the morning. I meditate. I do yoga. Then I go to the gym. After I leave the gym, I may after I shower, have a shake. Then I read, and I read something usually inspirational or something that is going to serve me well for the day, and no one can bother me during those hours. So before 7, I've done all of those things, and then I'm ready for my day.
Okay.
Well, I'm a working parent, so for me, the habit that I had before that I had to change was jumping into my day, just getting up and getting started and moving. You know, a cup of coffee, and I'm off and I'm running, and thinking that I could do everything. Nobody could do it but me. You know, they couldn't get it right. They couldn't do this right. Nobody could do it but me. So that was a habit that was very costly. And then I read a book, and that book was the revised edition of the Entrepreneur in Truth, and Michael Gerber's book. I can't think of the name of it, but anyway, it was a Michael Gerber's book. But what it taught me was that I didn't need to do everything, but I needed to structure my business, even if it was a one person's office, to structure it in departments and operate as if it was in those departments, and assign people. I didn't have to be a micromanager, but I needed to be aware of everything that was going on. And then I met a guy that I've been blessed in my life to have people be surrounded. You got to surround yourself with people that are like-minded. And I read something, and I do a lot of reading, and the Mastermind Alliance came into play. This was after I lost a lot of money. And I was reading this Mastermind Alliance, reading, do it like you say, and I started meditating in the morning. When I got up, I'm not a get on your knees prayer type person. As soon as my eyes open, thank you. As soon as my feet hit the floor, thank you. And then I take a quiet time, and everybody knows that I meditate every day, all day. You know, because meditation can go on, you can just get quiet and get still and meditate. But anyway, to make a long story short, what happened was I went to, and you play her song at the onset, a Teresa Griffin concert, and I watched this gentleman, and I had heard a lot of stuff about this one guy, and a lot of people talked about him, and I watched this guy, and he was fascinating. And I went home and told my wife, and I was like, I met this guy, his name was Lester Coleman, and his energy was so very strong that I wanted him to mentor me. So in building anything, mentorship is very, very important, that you surround yourself with like-minded people. And I decided I was going to forge a mastermind alliance with Mr. Coleman. But anyway, so that changed me.
Okay.
That look changed me because I had somebody to talk to. I had somebody that was in the same business, that had the same issues. You know what I'm saying? Because the construction business can drive you insane.
Oh, yeah.
And being able to have somebody to call and say, what's going on, is very important. So that was the change for me, to be able to humble myself and know that, you know, I needed to ask questions and I needed to learn from someone other than myself.
We've got a caller on the phone. Hi. Is our caller still there?
Now, your guest was talking about the business, right?
Yes, we are. Thank you for calling.
Okay, why some of all of it can't be a business in a neighborhood, but they can be a President Obama library. They should be a businessman in the black community neighborhood. Y'all doing a good job.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Thank you very much. Yes, he watches my show every time, so it's really cool. So far we've talked about that you all are early risers. So you've done more by 7 than most people do by 5.
Yes.
You know that, right? Okay, so you're early risers, and in that early morning time, you don't jump into your day, so that's an important habit. You start by meditating, some exercise, something to clear the mind, and reading something to set your day.
Yes.
So that you don't walk out of the house disturbable, so that you walk out of the house calm and cool and collected and focused.
That's right.
And then you've got just a great level to tolerate risk, because you both talked about losing a bunch of money.
Oh, yeah.
And you're still here, standing still, doing the business.
Yes.
So we've got some pretty good habits. We're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about how you rebounded from losing a bunch of money, because the economy did happen. We did have the Great Recession, and we didn't rebound as quickly as the news would lead you to believe. You know, some people may rebounded, but it generally wasn't the small businesses. They generally took a hit for longer.
Yes.
So I want you viewers at home to stay put. We're having a great conversation. Give us a call if you have questions, and we will be right back.
Relax and imagine your perfect life. If what you're imagining isn't the life you're living right now, then you need to experience Stephanie Wilson-Coleman. A victim of abuse and poverty, Stephanie overcame the odds to rise to success. Make the decision to allow Stephanie to help you move forward to your success through her books and empowerment tools, available at champagneconnection.com, where you can dream big. Relax and imagine your perfect life. If what you're imagining isn't the life you're living right now, then you need to experience Stephanie Wilson-Coleman. A victim of abuse and poverty, Stephanie overcame the odds to rise to success. Make the decision to allow Stephanie to help you move forward to your success through her books and empowerment tools, available at champagneconnection.com, where you can dream big.
When I do, I'll let you know, and we'll give you a disc. Make sure we give you a copy of the show. But you'll have your own copy. Hi, greetings and welcome back. Yes, we were sitting here chatting about the show when we suddenly were back on the air. Thank you guys for staying put, and thank you for taking that number down that you saw earlier so that you can give us a call. We were talking about the Great Recession of 2007 that seemed to just drag on and on and on for small businesses, and some are just now beginning to rebound as of last year and this year. So you have to have a high tolerance for risk and be willing to stick with the dream even after you're looking at a lot of losses. How do you do that? How did you rebound? What did you do to keep you afloat? What habits, new habits that you develop in order to stick with it till you could rebound today?
Trust. For
Trust.
me.
Okay.
For me, trust. It was just trusting in the process. It was rough. 2007, it started to fizzle out. 2008, it bottomed out. A lot of clients backed out and they couldn't handle it, so they made a lot of decisions. But 2009 was nothing. And then 2010, I was in a car accident that it was a rollover on I-65 South, and I walked away with it without a scratch, a little swelling, and the sheriff said, "We don't know how you lived." And I was at the hospital and I was thinking, there's something greater. And I couldn't spend my time worrying about nothing. Money never crossed my mind during that whole period. Now, I did afterwards because I really couldn't. However, it made me trust more in the process and know that everything is in divine order. And that's easier said than done a lot of times, but that's where the focus, the meditation, the prayer, and the Mastermind Alliance comes in, because when you get, down in the dumps like that, because you do get down in the dumps. When you're on your own, you feel on your own and you feel alone, and you see major corporations and other folk making money and doing things, and then you say, when is my turn? So it's trust for me.
For me, well, coming out of recession, we lost everything, at least me and my family. So I had to move from out of state back to Illinois to have a greater support system as a single dad. With that, after that, I started working, odd jobs wherever possible, while still trying to find more opportunities. So it had got to the point when I started this company, I started with $600.
Come on.
$600. I was a student at a community college for construction management, and I would go out and I would find clients by posting stuff inside of the posted ad section of grocery stores. Okay. I would take the bus. I would be the only person on the bus with maybe 2 big buckets and painting supplies and get to my job. And over years, I started to build up clientele, and also getting better at learning some of the nuances of being able to bid in other markets. And about 2012, things just started to change exponentially for the company, and we've been able to find resources where I thought that there were no resources before to be able to handle larger contracts and larger work. If I had to say what changed the most, because I had went to like a hibernation during 2009 on purpose, 2009 to 2012. I said I was going to do it for 3 years, just so I could have me back. And I started to look back on some of the things that made me me.
Okay.
In childhood, and then started to think towards death and how I wanted to be remembered in death. At the same time, I started to study some previous writings that I was aware of, but I started to study them like scripture. So I studied scripture. I delved deep into the Bible, and I delved deep into The Law of Success by Napoleon Hill. And that's right. That's that Mastermind Alliance.
Okay.
That's right. And started to come up with a definite major purpose for my life, people, Mastermind Alliance, to be able to bounce ideas off of and to be able to work towards that particular definite major purpose, and really to develop the faith necessary to be able to bring that definite major purpose to fruition. And I'm still working towards it. This is a journey. Just some things that's happened over the last few years are just intermittent stops or milestones. But this is just the start.
Let me just say, he said something just now when you said it's a journey, and that's a change for me. I believed in the journey, and now I believe in the experience, because I realized through that down period that could have engulfed me, right? That if I started on a journey that required water, the right attire, right? The right clothes, the right mindset, and all of that. But if I let it be an experience, all I needed was my faith and myself as an experience. Because it's not, if it's a journey for me, there's work in the journey. If it's an experience for me, there's hope in the dream, you know? And just, that's why Starbucks and Mariano's and all of these stores, they make so much money, because when you come in, you have a customer experience.
That's right.
You know? And that's what we want to do. That's what we do at Ties Development. We're working towards teaching our contractors and our tradespeople that our customer must have the experience and not just the job.
That's right.
Okay.
Change the focus of
we
that.
do the same thing.
Same thing.
We do the same thing.
Let's make sure the customer has the experience.
Has the experience.
You have to stay focused on the customer and the customer's experience. And before you can do that, you have to be grounded yourself.
Yes.
And there's a lot of trust in the process, because you don't always know what tomorrow is going to reveal.
Yes, you got to trust.
So you have to trust. So when you got on your feet and you started making money and getting opportunities and things were just going your way, how did you handle your finances? Because a lot of people go out and blow it all on that first purchase.
Reinvested. I've constantly reinvested into the company. So whether it's when I say reinvested, it's targeted reinvestment so we can make more money and be able to get larger. I'm not one of those people that believe in sitting on my heels or believe in, because we've already lost. We had lost money before, so I'm a lot more fiscally prudent with my money than I was before.
Okay. So
I was terrible. I'm not going to even lie. I was the worst money person in the world, and I've been blessed to have someone in my life, Joanne, that taught me about money. And then I've attended some classes and some workshops, and now I know my weakness. You know what you do well, and what I do well is customer service. I'm the thought person, and I'm always the adrenaline junkie.
Okay.
So I watch my money. I know where it's going at all times, but I don't manage it.
Okay. So
because that's not my strong point.
So you know where your money is going. So all of you all know where your money is going.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And you invest back into yourselves, into your company.
Into the company.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you identify quickly what your weaknesses are.
Yeah.
and find others to help you with that.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And you got to have a
Outsource
mentor.
everything.
And I, and I learned that because I've watched every person that I've admired that has money. And my greatest one is Oprah. And it's not because she's an African-American black woman or anything like that, but it's just how her focus is in giving and putting it out there. And she can't say, Gandhi tried to give all of his money away, right? And he wanted to be poor. He literally wanted to be poor, but he wasn't. And that was because of how much he gave back to the world. And yeah, you gotta be prepared to give all that you have back to get anything in. But I'm not a good money manager, so I'm not gonna lie about that. So
Okay.
somebody else manages my money.
Okay.
my accountant, and my treasurer.
So, are you all familiar with your financial statements? What's actually going on?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes, much,
Gotta
very
be.
much so.
So if one of the Shark Tank people showed up today, you could answer those questions, right?
I can tell them how much it costs for me to make it.
That's right.
And how much I'm going to bring back in. You were talking about the 15%. I would love to make 15%. We're getting there on the dollar, but the expenses are that's the goal. And if you're doing a larger contract with the government, they only want you to make 5.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's
If you're dealing with the government,
they only want you
Right.
to make 5. And that's their allowance. They determine, what you want. And if you work within our community, if you can pull out 2, you're doing good. So but yeah, it's a constant learning experience, and we put everything back. Now, I will say this: we're starting a program at our company for those individuals that have not put anything into the system. And they're coming up on age, but they have passion. They don't work for large companies. They don't work for small companies. They work for themselves. Those people, I got a cousin that paints. I got a cousin that do this, but they've never had a job. So we're starting a new program at our company that will allow us to pay them by check. But instead of paying fringe benefits, we'll set up a TD Ameritrade account for them. And then we'll put that money into that account for them to accumulate and build wealth. Because what we're about right now is building wealth.
Right.
And we're not talking about just building wealth in terms of finances, although that is very important when we look at what's going on today, and Baltimore and all of this stuff is happening, and we're tearing up our stuff, when we need to understand that black dollars is $1 trillion business.
Yes, 1.1 trillion.
See, and we need to utilize our dollars to make a change. So how are we going to do that? Is we're going to combine our efforts within our community and build wealth spiritually, which will bring wealth financially.
Okay.
That's right. So if someone came to you today and said, I want to start my own business, what would be your first word of advice?
My first word of advice would be, who's your client, what makes you different, and who's your team. So it's really to force someone to think out what it is what their business strategy is going to be, and how they're going to go about finding their niche and their space. From there, just to tell them those 3 things, at least from the Napoleon Hill standpoint, and that's what's your definite major purpose, who do you have helping for as far as your mastermind alliance, and to be able to have that type of faith that we were talking about, the journey and now the experience, to not give up and to have faith.
Oh yeah, it's definitely an adventure. I can tell you that. It's definitely an adventure. Some years you're just rolling high. Some years you can't find a profit if you tried. If somebody
You
tried,
can pay somebody.
right? You can't pay anybody to give you a profit, right?
Right.
It is definitely an experience.
Yes.
It is a great adventure, and you're right. That knowing what you offer, what problem are you trying to solve, and why you? instead of someone else? Those are important questions, and I don't know that people think those things through first.
I think about my advice would be the advice that I have an uncle. When I started as a painter, I was about 17, and he was my first client. And he sent me all of his friends, and I didn't get it then. And I used to call him and ask him questions all the time. I just call him and ask him questions. And he'd always tell me, you got to look for it, you got to search for it, you got to go to the library. You know, he would never give me any information. And he was one of the first African Americans to work for the FDIC. So he said something to me when I said, I'm going to quit the union and I'm going to go on my own. He said, listen to me. He said, if your expectation is that you're going to have control over your life and you're going to make the money that you want to make and do what you want to do, then being in business for yourself is not for you. Because just because you work for yourself and you don't want to work for yourself. They say fire yourself and hire yourself,
That's
right?
That's right.
But if you're working for yourself, these are the things that I've gotten. If you're making money and you're tired all the time, it's a job. If you're not making money and you're enjoying it, it's a hobby. But if you're making money, you're enjoying it, and you're moving all the time, you're an entrepreneur. So there's a difference in the business. There's different levels of this thing, and you have to determine which one you want to do. Because you can take a hobby and you can make money, but that doesn't make you an entrepreneur. So determine what it is you want. What's your vision? What do you expect? And do you have the time? Do you have the energy? Because it's exhausting. And do you have the wherewithal to really stand the test of time? Because when you fall, if you stay down, you won't get up. That's why most businesses fail after 5 years. Because when you get a hit, but you got up. That's what's the difference between you and somebody else. That, you know, so you got to have that. You must have that. If you don't have that, and stay away from the haters.
That's right. As a matter of fact, Cat Williams says you need to have as many haters as you can get.
But you don't have them in your circle.
That's right. You don't have them in your circle. That's right. Not in your circle. That's right. But not in your circle. Right. And you know, and you've got to have that alliance or that friend or partner that reminds you of what your strengths are.
That's right.
And what your purpose is.
That's true.
Because sometimes I think you get lost. That gets lost in the conversations with the clients and the going to get and win bids. Someone has to remind you. You know, you can do this because
and you're okay.
You got this, and no matter what, it's okay. Because you're doing a really good job. Right. You're really doing what you're supposed to do. That person needs to be there somewhere. Because the down times, someone just has to say, you know, but remind you, you know, you've been here before. Yeah. And you were successful. And nothing's different. And it's like Michael says, you know, let me tell my problems about how big my God is. We've got another caller on the line. Hi, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am enjoying the show. I'm enjoying both of your guests. I happen to know both of these guys. But I have a question for you, and it's been so apropos because you guys were just talking about the downtime and that 5-year plan, and I heard you saying that, you know, you have to have someone there that's going to cheer you on. You know, I just want to offer advice that sometimes you have to be your biggest advocate.
Yes.
Come around the storm. You have to, you know, because the word said, yea, though I walk through. It don't say stop and stay, have a vacation, buy a timeshare. It say walk through it.
Yes.
You know, I want to ask these guys, you know, from their experiences, because I understand they've been in business for a number of years, how did they make it through those rough times? How did they make it through the times when the telephone wasn't ringing and when the money wasn't there? The bills were there, the expenses were there, but the money wasn't there. How did you make it through? And what encouraged you to continue to stay in business rather than run back out and get your union job or whatever?
Ooh, for me, I'm blessed. I am truly, truly blessed to be surrounded by people that love me. And the haters are there at that time. You getting what you deserve, you know, because people can be very cruel during those times. But I am so very blessed to have that mastermind alliance, which is not just me. It's people that are like me. They're not all in business. Some are. My mentors, my loved ones. I live in a house full of wonderful women that just adore me. So I would like to believe.
That's right. And they do. And they do.
And they do, and they encourage me, and I have a best friend that encourages me. And then, sometimes my mother calls and just, reminds me of what the purpose in life is. But church, reading, prayer, and meditation. But most importantly, it's those times when I have to encourage myself. I know where to go to encourage myself, and that's music.
Okay.
That's music.
And if you think back to the earlier conversation, it's like the quilt has already been made because you've lined it with already from the beginning with prayer, with
The
meditation,
foundation.
with inspirational readings. You've set yourself already. So years of doing that, the storm comes and you've got a foundation to hold on to as you're trusting the experience.
Yes, you do.
Well, Mr. Webb, what worked for you?
For me, first I have to give up. I have to give up the glory. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So for me, that is where it starts. I have a deep spiritual relationship with Christ that holds me even when I'm ready to let go. That's where it starts. Out of that, I have a great support network of love, of family and friends who have been able to point me in the right direction, or to keep me and hold me as Christ holds me. When the going gets rough and I'm out at sea and it feels like all is lost, and they keep me still.
So the Christ within me.
That's right.
That's right.
And for the viewers at home who are thinking, oh gosh, they don't know anybody, everybody in their circle is a hater, all of that. I was there. That's why I'm bringing this up. Everybody was a hater. Even the people who weren't were saying, you know what? You know you're really good at everything, but this just wasn't the thing. That's their way of saying you're getting what you want to get anyway.
Yeah.
I advise you to make a list of people you admire and make those people a part of what I call my spiritual circle. And you don't have to know the people, just people you admire. And then get busy reading everything you can about those people, what they did to change their lives, what techniques they used. And then that way you get some tools yourself that you're not able to get from your surroundings, because everyone's not put or placed in loving environments or people who think they can do it. So that way you get some tools, you get some techniques, you get the story or begin to live the story that someone else lived and see what they went through. And that will work just as well too, because as you learn more about others who have been successful, you learn more about what to do yourself. And then when you step out of that circle, you will be surprised of the safety net that you will find that was built for you just by the fact that you changed your own mindset to what was possible instead of what was impossible. And you can do that by being surrounded by people who don't believe. Emily Cady did it, as a matter of fact.
Yes, she did.
When she wrote Lessons in Truth, she was the only one in her family, in her house, that believed what she did, and she was able to carve success out of that. So you don't have to have this perfect, loving environment to make it, because you actually have inside of you already every single thing you need. You just have to wake it up, slap it around sometimes, and get it going. We got it. That's right. And then begin to listen to it, because that voice inside of you will not steer you wrong. We've got another caller on the phone. Hi, how are you doing?
Hello?
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing great.
Good. You know, I just wanted to say that I am really enjoying this show. You know, this is such good information, and all of you all sitting on the stage make me so proud. You know, it's a wonderful thing to see some African Americans who have businesses in a city where a lot of our money is spent with other races. You know, I don't hear a lot about African Americans talking about how they started their business, the spiritual aspect of it, and how they keep going. One of the things I hear is that you got to have some haters because it means that you're doing something right. So I just wanted to say, just keep doing what you're doing. You make me proud, all three of you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
God bless you.
I used to call them haters. Don't get me wrong.
I call them my angels that come to show me my dark side. That's what they are, because they wouldn't be in my space if there wasn't something that I wasn't supposed to pay attention to.
Exactly.
And I get out of that what I'm supposed to learn, and when I get that, they just kind of disappear. Yes, you don't see them anymore. You look up and says, "Oh, what happened to so and so?"
They be trying to creep though.
That's
so for me, I don't really believe in haters. I mean, they're helpers for me.
Right, they're helpers.
They keep me sharp.
Right.
You know, like everybody is not gonna like me. I do go hard, especially when it's about my business. And you know, people who are on the outside, they're looking in. If they don't know me, then I think that's the disservice. Once you get to know me, I think that you understand me, you love me. But
this is what happened to me real quick, and I'm gonna shut up real quick. But this is what happened to me, and I have to share this because this happened during that downtime.
okay.
The story of Judas with Jesus. Judas was a necessary tool,
yes,
in order for Jesus to become the Christ.
That's right.
Without Judas,
there would be no Christ story.
There would be no life.
That's right.
For Christ. So, in my life, during that period when I learned that I had a Judas in my midst, and I was angry, and it was during Lent season, and I started going, I was just hurting, crying, and my wife said to me, she said, "No, sweetie, calm down. Let them be, and you stay maintained." And that's when I realized that they call them haters. They motivate me because that tells me every time I see one, and I have one floating around now, whenever I see them and they working really hard, I know that God got a greater gift for me in the midst, and that it's just an opportunity that if you can't handle them, then you're not going to be able to handle the larger gift. Right. How do you handle the small gift? And the hater is the gift.
Right.
If you can't handle it, listen, people that make billions of dollars, if you go into the court systems, you see how many people are trying to get parts of those billions of dollars. So if you can't handle a little bit, then you can't handle a lot. If I give you $100 and you misuse it, why would I give you 100,000?
Exactly.
Right. That's right.
Right. And I think that if everyone in your circle or surrounding you agrees with you, then you've got a problem. There's no opportunity for growth. And I think that you do need people around you who will not necessarily amen everything you do so that you can grow. And that's what those people's purpose are. Everybody. I really like it when they do it really, really well, because you know I like a challenge. They better bring me your A game. You know,
come with your A game.
Come with your A game. Right. So we've talked about the spirituality aspect, keeping yourself grounded, meditating, which is incredibly important. And we've talked about that more than once as to the foundation that's gotten you guys through a lot of the things that you have actually had to deal with, from the high earning revenue years and the low earning revenue years to the no earning revenue years. That's right. And then back again, so that you can be able to help people change your life through the experience of color, help people build healthy communities, and hire people and put people back to work, because small businesses employ approximately 85% of all the Americans who are at work now. They were the biggest creators of jobs. So without you, the job growth would not have occurred, because large companies just aren't hiring as much as small businesses. And then we heard trust. treat it as an experience. I like to say adventure. Because if you go on vacation, it's an adventure, and you don't know what's going to happen. But after the end of the vacation, people say, well, how was your vacation? You say, you know what, it was pretty good. You don't remember that flat tire. You just remember all the fun stuff. So treat it like an adventure. And whatever you do, surround yourself with like-minded people, your master alliance, so that you can have some mentors, some people who can help give you some advice about how to handle things. So, as I like to say,
get a financial consultant.
Yeah, and get a financial consultant.
Somebody told me about that one.
That's right. Get a financial consultant.
And don't loan out all your money. Don't call me when your bill is $100. Call me when it's 10.
Well, you all have never seen me. That is one thing I always say. I always say that, you know. And I think I'm the only person in the world that has friends that wait till the the water bill is $500 to call. They don't call when it's $20. No, they call when it's $500, right? So
that was the greatest lesson I learned from you. Because that's a big deal for me. I'm going to tell you how big it is for me. That I have some investors, and I sent out a business model to borrow some money for a major project. And she said, listen, I love the idea. It's great. Let's do it. How are we going to make some money? You done gave all the money away before we make some money. But I don't worry about that. All that I give is all that I receive.
Right. I also say, stop lending money to your broke friends.
Yes, you do.
I say that.
That's you.
Why should both of you be broke? Seriously. Because I have often found, as you all I'm sure have found in business, that a lot of times the problem wasn't the money. The problem was the habits or the discipline with the money and the way you did business.
That was my issue.
And you had to change your discipline and change the ways that you did business in order to ensure that there was money. And then when money came in, you had to refocus on what needed to happen with that money so that you could still be in business in a year from now or 2 years from now or 3 years from now.
Can't help anybody if you broke.
That's right. You cannot help anybody if you are broke. And that's what that lesson is about. We do have a caller on the phone. Hi, how are you doing?
I watch your show quite a bit, and I think it's very informational. I don't foresee right away, you understand, maybe opening up a business and stuff of my own and stuff. But I do get the concept about, hey, look, if you don't have any money, you know that you can't do nothing. Well, what are ways that you think that I can get money going so that I can think about opening up a business?
There are several things that I talk about all the time about finding money with the money that you already have. And one is, I want you to look at your debt, and I want you to get real serious about where you are spending and allocating your funds. And then there are things that I want you to cut immediately. I want you to look at your cell phone bill and packages. I want you to get a cell phone package that actually meets your needs and not one that you think you're going to need, because often we're paying for far too much data than we use. And if you do that, you can find some instant savings there. I want you to use the pyramid schedule in order to pay off your debt. Make a list of all of your debt, pay off the credit card with the highest interest and the highest amount, pay the highest amount of money on that and the minimum on the other. You can pay your credit cards off using that in about 3 years, and you will find that you will have increased the amount of money that you have in your pocket by about 20%. I want you to stop buying coffee out, pops out, and all of that. Buy that stuff at home, in the grocery store, and then bring that with you. Cut out eating lunches outside of the house or even eating outside the house. I want you to go to the grocery store and buy food, because we spend an average of eating out of about $25 a day, whereas you can feed yourself for about $50 a week. And that's just the beginning. I have lots of techniques that will help you put money back into your pocket. The other thing is, stop using your credit cards like right now. Just take your credit cards, don't cut them up, put them away, and stop using your credit cards. Make a comprehensive budget. I need you to go back through your expenses for the last 90 days to see how you spend your money and where you spend your money. Because a lot of us we're broke because we don't realize what we're spending. you don't realize how often you're in the Walgreens for, say, a bottle of alcohol, and you went in to spend $3 and you came out to spend $10. The envelope method works. Take your money, put how much you're going to spend for food in an envelope, and don't spend any more than that. Once you're out of that, once that money is gone from that envelope, you're done. You are just done. And don't lend anybody else any money because you don't have any. Go through your, start to tithe. I believe that you tithe your way to prosperity. I tithe my way to prosperity. I believe that everybody can. And if you can't start with 10%, start where you can. Start with 0.5%. Start with 1%. But you have got to start to tithe somewhere. If you don't have a spiritual home, then find a charity or something that moves your soul, something that speaks to you, and give money toward that. So, if you like, I do workshops and seminars that talk about how to have money, and you're welcome to come to those, and we can talk about that some more.
Your favorite line, you can't outgive God.
Oh yeah, you can't outgive God. When I started to tithe, I didn't think I could afford to tithe. But I learned you can't afford not to tithe. And I kept a journal, literally a journal. This is how much money I made. This is how much I tithe. I kept that journal, and within 30 days, more money was coming into me so fast that I had to abandon the journal. Not only that, other things that started to happen. Creditors that I owed started sending money back. You've overpaid us, or you didn't owe this much. And those were things that I never expected. So there is some divine power in the tithing principle. But there's more than one way to tithe, not just money. You got time, 10% of your time you should tithe away. Now, I don't want you to get confused, though. If it's money you want, you need to tithe money. You don't tithe time and get money. That doesn't work like that, okay? But tithe your time, tithe your talent. I want you to tithe your treasures. So you can do your time by helping somebody read, by running errands for the elderly. There's a lot of things you can do for that. Also, if you are absolutely broke, you need to create a vacuum immediately, meaning you need to go through your house. You need to donate everything that you are not using and haven't used within the last year to somebody who needs it. Because, as one of my favorite ministers says, if the truck from Macy's would come up today and bring you everything you want, where would you put it? So you've got to create a vacuum. So those are some tips on how to create income right away. And start to think about, what are you feeling when you are spending your money? Because often we get in debt because we're trying to fix some emotional issue and not some other issue. We've got about a minute left in the show. I want to recap real quick. Some of the habits for millionaire entrepreneurs are to stay grounded, to every day spend some time setting your day, setting your intentions, being grateful when you first get up, not as an afterthought when you go through your day. Above all, get a mastermind alliance and spend some time, a couple of times a day, and we're not asking it a lot of time. If you do 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening with a higher power, you will be able to listen to that still small voice in you that will actually let you know what it is you're meant to do, and above all, be of service to someone. So even if it is to build a healthy community or to help people change their lives and their moods with color, find out what it is meant for you. See, I believe that the reason the world has problems is because all of us have not stepped into our greatness. So I challenge you today to step into your greatness. I want you to live the life you've imagined, dream big, because life is too short to drink cheap champagne. This has been Stephanie Wilson-Coleman, the Empowerment Doctor, and it has indeed been my pleasure.
And didn't really want to be around. He said the breeze sometimes comes with rain.